Now I'm going to be interviewing somebody very interesting and very inspiring today. So the first guest we have, and I'm very excited to have, is none other than Sindhu Mohan. Hi, Sindhu. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited because this is the first podcast. You're my first guest, and I know you have a very interesting story to tell all of our viewers and listeners out there. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about your background and what you're doing right now.
Sure. Okay. So I'm honored to be your first guest. So let me just go and tell you a bit about what I do. So basically, I am a social media marketing coach or manager. So you could say social media marketer since that
Okay.
encompasses both coaching and managing. So how I actually got into this is a pretty interesting story. So about a year ago, I started a blog called www.highlybasic.com.
Okay.
So don't even laugh at me because it's a really bad name, I know. So I didn't really have a target audience. I was just bored and I wanted to start something. So I just opened up this website and I wrote blog posts from everything from tips on how to get a college roommate or like, oh, study tips, productivity tips, just random things. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's when I was like, okay, if I want to make this into a business, I should probably research. So I read up about blog writing, I read up about SEO optimization, keyword research, and that's when I got into website marketing. So I discovered Pinterest, Instagram marketing, and I found myself really spending a lot of time learning about these social media platforms. And then I realized that the moment I started noticing that things can be improved, when I see a social media post or a caption or profile, I'm like, oh, I think it'd be better if they could improve on this. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, wait, I have this knowledge that people could find it beneficial. And I realized that I should share this knowledge with others, especially to those small business owners who rely on social media marketing for their sales. Like
Mm-hmm.
someone needs to tell them. So that's how I decided on my niche. Like I'm gonna help small business owners with their social media marketing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
Okay, that is
when I
so
started.
interesting that it started off with the blog, and then I think now it has evolved to TikTok, and then most recently Instagram, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but what made you not do the blog anymore? What made you switch from the blog to then these social media platforms?
I think I realized that the blog was not really like sustainable in my opinion, because I felt that okay, at least like for my generation, right? I felt that as a consumer, I wouldn't really read blog posts
Mm-hmm.
that much. I feel like I would rather consume Instagram and TikTok content. So I realized that if I myself do not consume content like that, I should probably switch over a bit. So that's why I decided to move over to social media marketing instead.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. Do you have anybody that you looked up to that you knew already did social media marketing? Or did you kind of feel completely new in the space? And then how did you get through that? Those feelings of like, oh no, what if I'm the only one? You know?
Uh-huh. Right. Actually, I did have a few people I looked up to, like Vanessa Lau.
Mm-hmm.
She has a lot of like Instagram tips and all that on her YouTube, but she's mostly for she helps coaches become
Mm-hmm.
coaches. Like
Right.
so that was my initial so-called like inspiration. But then when I really got into the space, that's when I realized that oh, there's a lot of social media marketers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But um there is always I feel like it's always possible to distinguish yourself from other social media marketers. Like there are some things that I don't agree with other social media marketers, and there's some things that I think that it could be done better. So that's how I found like my unique proposition in this space, even though it's quite a saturated space. Yeah.
So what is your unique proposition that you feel is different from the rest of the social media marketers out there?
So yeah, okay, that's a great question. So I feel that a lot of social media marketers, right? They focus on selling, like
Okay.
salesy, like
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
just focus on selling the product. And I feel like marketing has evolved. That might have worked a few years ago, a few decades ago, when it's mostly like ads. But these days, people are they are quite smart. They are able to detect and identify it's an ad and I'm being sold to, and nobody wants to be sold to.
Mhm.
So marketing has to evolve accordingly. We can't just spend money on ads and okay, we're gonna get sales. It's
Yeah.
more about creating a community and sharing a vision with people and finding
Mhm.
such customers for your brand. So I feel like marketing is a lot more, there's a lot more to it.
It
And
has
that's
become
where
more of a storytelling where it's like, follow me on my
yes,
journey rather than, okay,
yeah,
I've already gone through the journey, now buy my product.
sell.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of those ads online as well. And I totally understand what you mean by the generational thing, where you just like, you feel like you've been sold to so much that the minute you feel like you're being sold to, you're just like, buy, skip. I'm just going to press like skip ad. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you say was the biggest challenge you faced starting this business?
I would say the typical challenges you face when you take the less commonly taken road.
Yep.
People don't really understand. I remember when I had to explain to my parents what this is, and they were like, oh, okay, focus on your studies.
Right.
So that is one part of it. My parents, also I guess like my schoolmates as well, like they were like, oh, so how is she qualified to teach or to
Right.
coach? Because they
Right.
don't really understand like
Yeah.
the amount of time I spent learning about social media marketing. And I guess when I hopped onto TikTok, that's when I get most of the hate. You know, TikTok is a
Oh yeah.
is a platform full of
I know
non-constructive
that being on
criticism.
TikTok for a while.
Yeah,
Yes, totally
it's
understand
it's
that.
inevitable. But they would just be like, coach, okay, okay. So this kind of hate would just sometimes like get to you.
Yeah.
But I think I've learned to sort of ignore external hate. I think
Mm.
I'm sort of good at that.
Mhm.
But I think mostly the top challenge I would say is self-doubt. Like there are a few days where you just wake up and you're like, yes, I'm so motivated. And then you get about doing your work. And then there are some days where you are like, oh, is this gonna work?
Yeah, I
Am
feel
I
like I struggle
capable
with that
enough?
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is the biggest challenge.
How did you find that confidence to be like, even though my peers are saying like, oh, social media coach, like what makes you qualified to be a social media coach? Like, how did you find that confidence within yourself to be like, well, I am one, or
Yeah.
I feel like I have enough knowledge and I'm just gonna put myself out there and do it anyway.
Yeah. So I think the first thing was to prove to myself, to tell
Mm.
myself that, okay, firstly, is this constructive criticism? Am I being a scam or do I actually know what I'm doing?
Mhm.
And then when I was able to answer myself, like, okay, no, I did spend a significant amount of time learning about social media marketing. And I did work with clients for free to see whether whatever that I'm doing works or not. So I do have evidence and I am able to make a difference. So why are you letting that hate get to you? So that is the kind of process that I go through when I receive like criticism or hate, so that it doesn't translate into self-doubt.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking of clients, how did you find your first one then? Like considering,
Okay.
yeah, all
That was
factors.
hard. That
Yeah.
was so at that time I just okay, so I posted a lot of content on my Instagram, like free content, and
Mm.
then I publicized on my Instagram story. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start social media coaching. So I would be taking in beta clients for free. So if you're interested, then you could hit me up or DM me. And then I think I also put that I think I also put that on Facebook groups. So small business owner Facebook groups. I remember my first client was actually from the US,
Mm-hmm.
and she found my post, she filled up my form, and
Wow.
yeah, so actually I didn't say it was free. So she was quite surprised when I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I'm actually doing it for free.
Right.
I just need like feedback and testimonials so I could improve myself.
Mm.
So that was my first client experience.
Wow, that's so cool. And when was
Yeah.
it? Was it a recent thing?
That was last December. For a
Wow.
year plus. Yeah.
That's really inspiring because obviously like me coming from the whole creative background and having to learn business from scratch has been so new for me. So I feel like just the fact that you managed to find that confidence starting from a blog, and then like despite what everybody was saying, just kind of just went ahead at it, just kept putting out free content, and just like,
Yeah.
put yourself out there so that somebody will contact you and then you can start building your portfolio. I think that's something that a lot of people fear, because it's like, what if I just keep churning out free content, and then let's say nobody signs up and nobody replies me, and here I am just consistently giving out free content. How do I sustain myself on that? And what would you say to people like that?
Exactly. I think I was guilty of that. So for a long time, I think posting out free content I felt more comfortable with. Like you just need to design the post, write the captions, click post. But reaching out to people, that was something that I was not comfortable with from the very start. I hated being like salesy,
Right.
I felt more comfortable just sharing value through my Instagram posts.
Yeah.
But I realized that at a point in time, I have to, if I want to get this started, I have to reach out to people. People are not gonna reach out to me. I don't have 1 million followers and people are gonna reach out to me. I have to reach out to people, test out, and then set up my coaching programs so that I'll go to that level where people can reach out to me.
Right.
So yeah, that is the difference. And you have to, if you're at your beginning stage, you just have to get yourself to do this, even though it's not comfortable.
That's very brave. Would you say like you did face-to-face kind of asking people? Did you go through DMs? Did you email? Did you do everything across the board? Like how far did you push yourself? And at what point did you ever feel, okay, this is an area that I'm a little bit scared of, so let me try something else instead? Because I know that you were mentioning that you're not super comfortable consistently reaching out to people, but at the same time, that is so necessary, especially if you're small and you're starting out and you're building a business. Yeah.
Yes. So I started out with DM, like Instagram DM outreach. So I would look through my followers. I would see if there are any of them who I see their profile. I'm like, okay, I think these are some things that I could help them with. And then I would engage in a conversation with them first to see where they're at, how serious they are with this business. And then if I realize that they will be an ideal client fit, and then I would be like, are you open to this 30-day coaching program? So that's how I started out with. I did post a bit on Facebook groups. That didn't really work. Facebook groups are really, really noisy. But yeah, face-to-face, not much. Or like general forums, I'm kind of not really comfortable with that. I was more comfortable with more one-to-one kind of contexts. Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, I'm speaking from a place where I used to be so scared of promoting myself on social media. And it's strange, right? Coming from a performing arts background, but I didn't want to push myself. So whatever work I was getting, I wouldn't really share online, because I was like, well, if people are going to know, they're going to know anyway. And then that was a fear that I had to myself work through, to just be like, yes, you're a performer. Yes, maybe you have these talents, these skills, but you can have all these talents and skills and nobody know about them. So at some point, I just kind of had to be like, shut up the external noise and just do it, right? Because at least you did something. And no matter how many haters you have, I always like to believe that you have an equal amount of people that love you. So I always like to think of it as a 50-50 thing. So you still have that safety net of people that are supporting you. And, if they don't want to follow me, they don't have to follow me. I'm not forcing anybody to. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to appeal to everyone.
Yeah. It's a lesson that I'm consistently learning.
Yeah. You have to find your own tribe. And I think that's more important than just trying to satisfy everyone. If you try to please everyone, you're not going to please anyone.
Yeah. Oh, so true. Wise words. I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, every morning when you wake up as this entrepreneur, as this person who started something so different from a lot of other people, what keeps you going? What keeps you, motivated to consistently create content, especially because you're doing it alone, right? It's not like you have a whole team behind you being like, okay, you have to wake up now. It's 9 a.m. We're starting soon. Yeah. So what keeps you, okay, I'm awake and now I'm going to plan on my day and I'm going to do the thing that I need to do. Yeah.
Right. Okay. This is so important. because yeah, like you said, right? If I have a team, it will be so much easier for me to
I know. I
go do
know.
work. Okay. But if it's alone, right, then it's like, okay, if I don't do anything, no one is gonna fault me for it. So things like creating content for my own TikTok, that takes up so much of motivation.
Mhm.
So my solution to that is truly just blocking it out on my calendar. Like I'm a very calendar person. I was never a calendar person until recently.
Okay.
Um, but then I think when you get into entrepreneurship and business, you kind of inevitably get into self-development and
Yes.
productivity.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's what happened. And I was reading up a lot about productivity, time management, and morning routines, stuff
Mm.
like that. And that's how I came up with a system myself.
Mm.
It wasn't easy. It took me a really long while to come up with a system that works for me.
Right.
But right now, my system consists of Google Calendar, Notion. Um, yeah, mostly these two tools. I use
Okay.
them
What
to
is Notion?
plan
I know
out.
GCal and I know time blocking,
Yeah.
but what is
Uh-huh.
Notion?
Okay, Notion is my favorite tool ever.
Okay.
So Notion is yeah. So it's an app, or yeah, it's an app. So it's also on desktop, it's also on phone. So basically just helps you organize anything you could. It's like you could say it's like an Excel sheet, but like nicer. Yes. You also have like templates. So like for content calendars, they also have templates. You can
Okay.
customize it to your own needs. I just find it so useful.
Wow.
So
Okay.
all my planning is on there. I think I recently started journaling on there as well. Yeah.
Hmm. It's an
So
app, is it? On your phone?
yeah. So
Okay.
it's like
I got
it's also on laptop.
Okay. Oh, great. That's so helpful. Do you think that the self-discipline came because you just kept doing it? Or would you say you already were kind of an organized and disciplined person?
Um, I would say the self-discipline came after I started all this. I realized that if I wanted to continue doing this and be consistent, I should probably work on my self-discipline. But it's also important to note that it's not just self-discipline that helped me, but also like systems.
Right.
Because
What's the
to
difference between
self-discipline, yeah, self-discipline is only gonna help you to a certain extent. Or motivation is gonna only help you for a certain extent, but there are some times where you can't rely on motivation.
Mhm.
You just have to, if you block it on your calendar, if you put your study place properly and shit, and then it's gonna be so much helpful for you to actually do the work.
Yeah. I think one thing that I recently picked up as well was making my bed in the morning. The first thing I do is I make my bed, just because when I look at it, I just feel like, okay, I didn't sleep. Like, this is my day and my day has just begun. When I used to not make my beds in the morning, I realized, like, I wake up and then I go and eat and then I come back and I just feel like jumping back into bed because it didn't look that nice. And I was like, yeah, if I just jump back in, like, it's no difference at all. Right. But then
Right.
just that one thing kind of shifted my mindset a little bit to be like, it's not sleeping time anymore. It's daytime, it's work time, or it's time for you to do something else, but lays in your bed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should try that, honestly. That is one habit I cannot
Right.
develop,
Okay.
making my bed. But I think I understand, because making your bed, it gets you like getting into the organized mood, and then
Yeah.
you are like, okay, I got this day. For
Yeah.
me, I think I plan my day beforehand. So the
Mm.
night before. So I write
Oh,
down
wow.
the three things I want to do
Wow.
for the day.
Okay.
So when I wake up, I don't have to plan with my morning brain. Like I
Yeah.
already have the two things I have to do. So I just have to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's so amazing. So do you plan your GCal like a night in advance? Do you do it a week in
Yeah.
advance? Like, how do you time block?
The night before. So
Oh,
usually if I do it a week, I'll do it a week before, but I'll always have to amend the
yeah,
night
of
before,
course, of course.
because last minute things happen all
Yeah,
the time.
you're so
Yeah.
organized. I used to do that as
Uh-huh.
well. And then I realized like I was burning myself out. So now I try and time block more time for myself, where
Uh-huh.
I used to just consistently want to hustle all the time. And
Yeah.
also, speaking of that, because tenacity is really about like no matter what obstacles people throw at me, I'm just gonna kind of go at it and make it happen. But how do you feel about the hustle culture? Because being in Singapore and being Singaporean, And, coming from an academic background as well, that competition is so high. Everybody's always like, you have to hustle, you have to do this, you have to do that. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's a sustainable way to live? Do you vibe with that? Yeah.
Okay, yes, hustle culture. I feel like I can always talk about this because um I know it's like, I think the hustle culture in Singapore, or hustle culture in general, it just makes you feel that you should be working every single day. Like even entrepreneurship, right? Like, because it's not really a job, you're doing it yourself. It just feels normal to be doing work every single day. Like you wake up, I start doing work, and all the way until night.
Yes.
But that's just not sustainable at all. I realized soon after, even in the weekends, I just found it, at a point in time, I found it really, really hard to take breaks. Even if I take breaks, for example, I'll go back home and then my family will be like, let's watch a movie. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. And then halfway through the movie, I'll be like, I think there are better things I could be doing. I would start thinking about other things that I could be doing, which is so bad. Like, I'm not even enjoying a 2 hour
You can't be
movie.
present.
Yeah, I'm not being present. So that's when I realized, okay, that is a problem and I should do something about it, because I wasn't even, every time I'll go out with my friends and I'll be like, I think I should get home and be productive. Like, so I realized that was a problem, and I started, so on my Google Calendar, I created a new calendar called Recharge.
Right.
So this time I make sure I allocate time for me to like completely switch off and recharge. Yeah, it's not perfect yet. I still struggle, but I'm getting there.
But that's so important though. I feel like exactly what you said, especially when you're working on your own clock, you kind of feel like when you're not working, you're not achieving something. And it's so different, I feel, from people who are working, let's say, a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6, because they know when they start and they know when they end. And if anything, they will just stay in the office longer to get it done before they leave, just so that their mind is clear when they're not in office, right? But when your office is your home, and your office is your phone, and your office is basically just everywhere around you, you cannot escape it, right? So yeah, that's the reason why I don't have an Apple Watch, because I just feel like, if I look at the time and then I'm seeing like 10 messages, that's gonna drive me insane.
Oh my God, yes. I don't have an Apple Watch as well.
And what is your big why? What is that vision?
So my big why, it took me a while, honestly. My why is usually something that you decide before you start a business, before you start something, right? But since my starting thing was it was just a random spontaneous action, I didn't really have that. So I developed my why over time. I think it was quite recently when I actually sat down and thought about it. But mine is more of, I want to make a difference in the marketing community. Like the shift that I want to see in marketing, from the old kind of marketing, salesy kind of marketing, to community kind of marketing. And I don't want to just do that for my clients, but I also want to show that this is a better way, and I want it to be like a shift where other marketers can also learn from this type of marketing. And recently, I think as I started creating content on TikTok, another why I had was I started learning a lot about creator economy and creating content. And I realized that at first I started creating content just to promote business. But I realized creating content there's a lot more to it. Like creating content it's an art, and it's not just to promote something, but creating content is a beautiful thing. Getting an audience, meeting people that are in your interests, like they're in your tribe. Even like people like you, I would have probably never met if I never put myself out there on TikTok. You know what I mean? So that's something that I really want more people, especially the young generation, to start doing. Put yourself out there and create content.
Yeah, That's amazing. Thank you so much for being an inspiration to the new generation of marketers, new generation of content creators, and just a new generation of people who want to connect authentically and through stories and through journeys and not just through the very typical sales route, right?
Yes,
So
correct.
I just wanted to give you a platform to kind of share where people can find you. If you have anything new that's coming up, feel free to just share it.
Okay, so mine will be, you can find me on my website, www.sindhumohan.com. My socials are on there. If I am releasing anything new, any announcements, then it will probably be on Instagram, which is at sindhumohan.co, or and the platform that I'm most active in is TikTok at the Sindhu.
The Sindhu, right?
Yeah,
TheSindhu.
correct.
Okay, you all heard it here. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. This was my first conversation with Sindhu, and I am so happy to be able to share all of this knowledge and all of this value with all of you guys. I think similarly to Sindhu, I also believe that content should be something that brings people together. It should be something where people can vibe together and learn from each other and then grow together. It's all part of building community. And thank you so much for tuning in. It's Alyssa Lie, and I will see you on my second episode. Bye, guys.